Good morning, beautiful souls. It's big, right? There is a lot going on right now. There's a lot going on globally. There's probably a lot going on in your country. There's a lot going on in your town or your village. Maybe there's a lot going on in your family. Maybe there's a lot going on for you personally, both emotionally and in your environment with everything that's going on right now. So no matter where you are in the world, you're probably aware of aspects related to COVID and conflict there, loss there, grief there. You're aware of conflict and grief and loss in different parts of the world, like the Ukraine. You're aware of conflict and loss in your environment around the weather impacts that are happening in so many places at the moment. Wherever you're living right now, for many of us, there is a lot of conflict and loss and grief, and there can be despair and anger and hopelessness and powerlessness and disbelief and loss of faith and all of these emotions and deep, deep sadness that can arise when we're seeing so much external flux and change. Hey Kay, yeah, I'm good, darling. I'm so good. So I wanted to jump on today. I hope it was well with you too. Let me know where you are. Let me know where you're listening from. Let me know what's happening for you. But I want to share with you ways that we can see through a different lens, because when so much is going on, and I know it's been, a lot of people around me and some of the women in my tribe have been just sort of playing with this. When so much is going on, how do you keep the peace when it feels like all your practices that you may have, been doing, you just feel drawn out into these external circumstances, and maybe your own personal circumstances are really challenging right now. And it's right here in front of you. And our personal and spiritual practice is definitely not about, withdrawing from all that and going, it doesn't matter, it's not there, spinning the positive on it. But what I want to share with you is a different way of looking at this. A different way of looking at this, if you are open to it. So here's the thing that we teach on a personal level, is when you zoom into something and your attention is going into the detail, we can find that there's an inner resistance that comes up, right? Because when we zoom in to find detail, our mind goes, well, that's not possible. I can't do that. That's too hard. Whereas we step back and look at big picture, we're able to release some of the resistance around what is happening, and we can move into a place of allowing. And this is what I find useful to do when we're looking at things on a global, level, to zoom out. Because if you zoom in too much and you look at that the point of the pain, right? If you think about like the needle point of the pain, wherever that is, it's like, wow, it can just feel overwhelming, because all you are is in the needle point of that pain, and you can feel that pain. And those of us that are empaths, you're going to feel that, and the compassion and the, oh my goodness, how do we get out of that needle point when the needle is stuck in me? It hurts, right? So this withdrawing back to zoom out and see the bigger picture is not to belittle what's going on, but to realize that when we get caught up in the minutiae of that pain, we can't be helpful in terms of trying to relieve that pain unless we can personally take that needle out. And when we're looking at global things and all of that going on, we can't personally take that needle out that is creating the pain. But when we zoom out, we can see the bigger picture. We can feel how there is so much beauty and goodness and love and compassion showing up in the world right now, as well as the conflict and blame and judgment and suffering and all of that. But what if, as you zoom out, if you started to see the earth and all of the souls on it as an analogy for you and your life and all the cells in your body? Just feel into that a moment. And this is, a sort of a way of looking at things, how you may or may not be used to doing, to view this macrocosm and the microcosm, that you personally are like a reflection of the whole world, or the whole world is like a reflection of you. What does that feel like for a moment? Even if you don't agree with that statement, to zoom out and see the whole of planet Earth and all the souls in it, all the life in it as you, your body as Mother Earth, and all of the souls and all of the life in it as all of the different cells in your body. What does that mean? How does that feel? You know that you have old pain and traumas. If you're in the personal development world, we have old pain and traumas from past lives, from our younger self, mini traumas, macro traumas, that when they are not dealt with, when emotions aren't dealt with, they show up in our body as physical pain, emotional pain, reactivity, patterns, anger. Think of how that's showing up right now, globally, if the globe is you. There is so much beauty and love and perfection in you and in the earth and in every human and in every cell in your body. And yet there is also some unresolved pain that is showing up as physical disease, as emotional reactivity, as difficulty in your relationships, perhaps as areas where there's a lack of abundance. And this is showing up in the world. That it is firmly my inner knowing that this is kind of how it is, right? And that this global manifestation right now of what is happening in the conflict is a continuous reflection of how we are operating in the collective consciousness. And your experience right now of how this is showing up and how you choose to respond to it is a bit of a reflection on how you feel in yourself. So the only way I believe that we can really show up in our highest is to show up in our highest in here, is to really go in, not to negate and to ignore what is going on, but as a knowing of the reflection of what is happening out here and how you are perceiving this is somewhat a mirror of what is going on in here. And feel into that. How are you really feeling? What is underneath that? What is it that you are not seeing in your own life? And not to beat yourself up, not to feel guilty, not to go, oh, well, I'm seeing big stuff out there must be big stuff happening in here. No, it's just about feeling in. This is a collective that we are looking at here. And only by zooming out and feeling, can I sit in a place of compassion in me for myself and love and curiosity about what's going on in me and how I show up, and therefore turn those same eyes of compassion and curiosity outwards. And it's only when we can find that reservoir of inner peace and compassion that we can then show up and act in the world from that highest place. So again, we are not then choosing to sit back and ignore. We are sitting back, zooming out so that we can see our whole self and the whole world from that place of, wow, there is still beauty here. There is so much love, and there is suffering and discomfort and pain. And that's okay. It's kind of always been that way. And it always will until we free ourselves from the root causes of suffering, which are attachments, aversions, fears, not being clear about the story, not being able to see and zoom out on that soul level. These are all root causes of suffering. So when we can zoom out and see ourselves with so much compassion and understanding and curiosity, and feel that there is a higher power working through us, we're not going to be able to do that for the rest of the world. But when we can do that for ourselves, and therefore then we can do that for the planet, then we can act in our highest without our own root causes of suffering getting in the way, right? Creating obstacles, those egoic battles. I mean, we show up in our pain, from our reactions, from our suffering, and that is not as helpful because we meet more resistance in the world. when you can show up in your highest and be guided from that place, you know you are acting and moving from a soul guided source, and that is going to be the highest for you and the highest for everyone. And we are all in this together. It is our collective energy, our collective mindset, our collective emotion, our collective past that is creating this present. And until we can see that polarity, until we can take personal love, compassion and ownership for what's going on in our world and see through those eyes, until then we're going to keep moving through this bit of turmoil in order that we can all collectively move to a place of compassion for ourselves, for the earth, for each other, and collectively ascend. So our job, I believe right now, is to be the light, to be a beacon. The name of the program, have a beautiful tribe of beacons, and we're all working with this. Working in ourselves and working in the world. We are of the world, but not in the world, but not of the world, right? So be the light, but be the light for yourself, and then get guided in how to show that up in the world. Don't just react. It is exactly the same when we teach what you do for yourself as we teach how to show up in the world. It is the same. Microcosm, macrocosm. It is a reflection. So much love to you. Love to you, Kay. Love to you, Laura, Tina, anyone else that I can see that's on here now. Tasmania would like a little rain. We'll try and send some down to you, my darling. Yes, and sending love, so much love out to anyone that is right knee deep in these sort of turmoils right now. I get that it is super hard when you are right on the edge. And some of us are on the edge physically, some of us are right on that edge emotionally, some of us are right on that edge, right, environmentally, in different ways. I get that. Yeah, and this is not to negate any of that pain and that struggle, but we have a choice to stay at the pinpoint of pain, where it's very hard to see because we are all consumed by that, or to zoom out and really sit back and see the bigger picture of everything and release. See this as an opportunity to release some of our root causes of suffering around attachments and aversions and fears and the stories, and be challenged consistently to move to compassion and to act from that place. We're in challenging times, but we have so many resources, and you know, if you don't feel like you have those resources, if you're kind of hearing me, but you're like, I'm kind of hearing you, but I would love to have more of those resources that you're talking about, because I'm really struggling to sit back in that place. This is my area of genius. This is what I do, is help people to really access that place, and it changes everything. How you show up in your world, how your world shows up for you, the abundance that you create, the connections that you create, the level of peace and joy in you no matter what, the capacity that you're able to impact others and help no matter what. Know what's yours, know what's not. So if that's something that you do struggle with and you would really love some embodied help around that, and you are on this personal spiritual development path, you know that there is change for you and you just don't quite have the tools for it, or the tools you have aren't really seem to be working right now, then reach out. Tina is on here, I believe. Tina, if you can just pop that link down. We have an event coming up in Beachmere. We have one coming up in Brisbane. Around embodied tools, particularly for women, and how to make a bigger impact in the world with more ease, more grace, less stress, and how to start dissolving some of those root causes of your own pain experience when stuff like this is going on in the world. Yeah, it is so important right now that we can all show up in our highest light. So yeah, thank you, Tina. Just pop that link on if you would love to come and join us for one of our half days and get some profound experience. Some of these people have just been to a half day and been blown away by how just a few hours in a room with me can shine a light on their whole way they've been showing up in their whole life and change everything. All right, if you want to change everything, and yeah, come and join us for a few hours and jump on that, because it literally can. change the lens from which you are looking through and shift everything. All right, beautiful souls, I am going to go into this rain now. We're teaching yoga this morning. We'll be sending a lot of love out into the world. If you are wanting to receive some of that beautiful K, drop in and open up right now to receive the love that is coming for you. There is so many people out there in the world holding this light right now. So, let yourself be open to receive that and open to receive all the loving assistance and support that is coming to you. Big love, everyone. Take care.